네, 안녕하세요. 텐티비 구독자 여러분. 네, 오늘 아주 특별한 분을 모시게 되었습니다. 달라스 ISD에서 우리 특별한 교장 선생님들에게만 드리는 상을 수상하신 이준경 우리 교장선생님을 초대했습니다. 예, 우리 교장선생님 만나서 반갑습니다.
So I'm going to speak in English. My name is David Lee, and my Korean name is Lee Jun-kyung. And I have been principal in Dallas Isd for the last 5 years, and I've been in education in Dallas Isd for the last 17 years.
네, 우리 이제 교장선생님께서 이번에 상을 좀 받으셨는데 어떤 상인지 한번 좀 소개를 해주시고 그 상을 받으셨던 소감을 좀 얘기를 해주시면 감사하겠습니다.
Okay, sure. I was honored with winning the Principal of the Year award in Dallas Isd, and it's quite an honor that I was able to be selected among 200 and roughly 250 principals in Dallas Isd. And some of the criteria that was used for that award is school performance. So our school, the school that I lead, is Hector P. Garcia Middle School in Dallas Isd, and we have achieved significant student achievement in our school. But also some other criteria that they use is increasing the culture of the school. So the climate and culture has increased quite a bit, and also parental involvement. Increasing parental involvement at the school is another criteria that they use. In addition to an interview process and selection process in Dallas Isd. So there are many different levels that I had to go through. So first being selected as principal over our region. And then the principals in the region then applied to become the principal of the year for the district. So through those different steps and different processes, I was honored and surprised in April when we had our huge State of the District assembly ceremony, and of all of the principals that were selected, I was one of the finalists, and then I was named the Principal of the Year for secondary. So quite an award and something I'm very honored to have received.
Congrats, be happy. 와, 대단하시네요. 교장 선생님이 되시기까지 어떤 공부를 대학에서 공부를 하셨고 실제로 교장 선생님 되기까지 또 어떤 경력들을 쌓으셨는지 좀 얘기를 해주시면 고맙겠습니다.
So my experience in becoming a principal that I am now was a very long journey. So I've always enjoyed teaching.
Enjoy teaching.
It started when I was really young. Even when I was in high school, I would tutor a lot of students. And then when I got into college, I was very involved in our church. I started off with leading Bible study groups at our church every Sunday, and that later developed into a love of teaching. I went to Baylor University as an undergrad, and I studied sciences. I was a biology major and an Asian studies minor. When I was a student at Baylor University, I went to Korea for a year as an exchange student. I went to Yonsei University and studied there for 1 year. And it was a great experience for me because it was the first time I went back to Korea. My family came here in America when I was 2 years old. We immigrated here in America and had never visited Korea since then. So going to Korea as an exchange student, it was the first time visiting Korea, learning about the culture, taking Korean economics classes and Korean language class. So my Korean language got a lot better. Korean literature classes I took at Yonsei University. After my classes, I went to middle school and high schools in Korea to teach English. English at that time was a very popular subject and a lot of students wanted to learn. So after my classes at Yonsei, I would go and teach classes at the public middle schools and high school in this whole area. And after that, I really wanted to come back to Korea, so after I graduated from Baylor University, I had an opportunity to go to Korea to teach English and science, and really fell in love with the Korean culture and being in Korea at the time. At the school that I worked at, that's actually also where I met my wife, who was also a teacher there. She was a kindergarten teacher there, and we ended up getting married and decided to move back to America. When I came back to America, I decided to pursue teaching. So in Dallas, we have a program where teachers, they'll develop teachers. It's called the Alternative Certification Program. So even if you didn't go into teaching college, as long as you have a degree, you can go into teaching, and get an alternative certification. So that's a really popular way that a lot of individuals start teaching. It's called the AC program, Alternative Certification. So I did mine through Dallas Isd. And so I started off as a science teacher in Dallas. And one of the interesting stories about Dallas is, my time in Korea, I was able to teach some very rich and affluent students. They're very privileged. So they were sons and daughters of doctors and lawyers and successful business people, and so they had a lot of privilege. So I wanted to see what it was like teaching some of the toughest students. So when I first became a teacher, I started teaching at a high school, and it was I asked, what is the hardest high school to teach at in Dallas? And I went and interviewed for that school, and I got hired as a science teacher teaching at this school. So in Dallas, I taught at that school for 5 years. So that's where I really learned that students are all the same, whether it was students that studied a lot in Korea or some of the toughest students in Dallas. Their students are students. And one of the things I realized is a lot of those students, they are born into circumstances that are out of their control. So
out of control.
So the students I taught at the high school in Dallas, many of them had broken families. Many of them had single parents or no parents. Their grandparents were raising them, and they had many difficult situations. But one of the things I'm really proud about is I was able to inspire those students to do better, to study hard. And I ended up becoming a very successful teacher. And because of that, then my principal encouraged me to become a coach for teachers. So I became an instructional coach for about a year. And an instructional coach is a coach that helps teachers become better. After I did that for about a year, then I had an opportunity to become a grant coordinator at another school. So at the time, certain schools got school improvement grants, and I was able to manage and help with the grant as a grant coordinator. And after that, I wanted to go into administration. So I got my certification. I got my master's and my certification to become a principal. And then I got hired as an assistant principal at another high school in Dallas Isd. So during my time in Dallas, I was able to do a lot of work with the curriculum, a lot of work with, helping, that this school I was at, I was able to develop the magnet program at this school. And due to a lot of the successes that I had as a assistant principal, I got the opportunity to become a principal. And I've been at this school for the last 5 years.
우리 교장 선생님의 가장 중요한 그런 동기는 무엇이죠? 무엇이 그렇게 하게 만들었죠?
My motivation for really doing the work that I do is trying to give students an opportunity to achieve their best, to give them goals and inspire them to do better. A lot of the students that I serve at my school, they are immigrant students, low income, and many of them don't even have a dream of going to college, right? Many of them just want to work, and one of the things I really want to do is inspire my students to break that cycle of poverty. And all it takes is for one student to go to college, to graduate from college, and they can make a whole difference in their families. So their younger brothers and sisters saw that, okay, if my older brother and sister can do this, I can do it too. So we can start changing the pattern of not having dreams and not having inspirations after high school to saying, oh yes, I can go to college, and once they do go and once they get their degree and their lives become changed at that point, they are able to make enough living wage to be able to make a difference in their lives, and also the lives of their families and eventually their community that they live in.